the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello, and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. It is a great pleasure to be back with you once again today. And it's going mobile again. There's my home studio, as you can call it, is not available, we'll just say. So out kind of with the birds and getting sprinkled on a little bit out here, unfortunately. Going mobile today. And the theme of today's show is, what's going to be your role? Like, say, as a Christian, what's your role? Are you a planter? Are you a waterer? Or are you a harvester? So kind of going in a different direction. That's why they call this freedom of thought. So we can go all over the place. Obviously, we can be biblical, we can be political, and we can be into that kind of biblical science, biblical history. I think it's a lot of fun, a lot of cool stuff to get into. So today, again, what's your role? Like, have you ever wondered what your role might be when it comes to the body of Christ? A planter, a waterer, or a harvester? So at the end of the day, I believe my goal is a planter. Like, I'm out here planting seeds. And I think in a lot of ways, freedom of thought is all about that, planting seeds. Because maybe, I do not consider myself some kind of an expert that really, I'm not a pastor, put it that way. I'm not a pastor, but I'm capable of planting seeds in people's hearts. Like, that's interesting. And that's kind of, in a lot of ways, what freedom of thought is all about. Like, that's interesting. Even if it's, other things, it doesn't, like if it's a Christian or other stuff like in the news or in sciences, which could also tie to Christianity as well, very much so. Like, whoa, so there were giants in the past. That's interesting. So that's kind of planting a seed. And then you listen to a podcast, maybe like Blurry Creatures, maybe like that's like waterer, in a way, where like, that's like really interesting. You get dig a bit deeper. And then, but obviously, but in the body of Christ, a planter is, like putting it in someone's heart that, hey, yeah, this is all real. Obviously, this is all real. Jesus loves you. And all, obviously, this is all very real. This is all really going on. You should turn your life to Christ, that type of thing. This is all real. Like, you plant the seed, and then the person just kind of like, that's interesting. And then they, but it's like, say, like something deeper than what I just said. But they start thinking, that's interesting. I need to dig deeper. And then you have somebody who's a waterer out there, like Tim Burt was a guy. Like, he's a pastor, Tim Burt, used to be with Living Word. I'm not sure which church he went to. But for many years, I was classmates with Stephanie Burt, that's his daughter, at Maranatha Christian Academy here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, of course, the Minneapolis side of the Twin Cities. between Minneapolis and St. Paul. But yeah, Tim Burt was an amazing preacher, was and is an amazing preacher. Every time, see, that's the thing, every single time he happened to be like he happened to be the person preaching that day on that Sunday, like Mac was out or whatever. Mac's the main preacher, and then Tim started preaching, and it's like, oh my gosh, like you would learn so much, and that's like somebody who waters. You learn more, you dig deeper, and then he would often say his wife, Renee Burt, is a harvester, where that's the person that brings the people to Christ, gets them saved, and that's what a harvester's role is. You learn. See, the seed planter is the person that's kind of like, maybe they make things interesting, I need to dig deeper. That's what a seed planter is. That's me. Tim Burt, waterer, a person who can really teach you more and make that plant start to grow. And then Renee Burt, or many others out there, maybe a Jesse Duplantis. Is Jesse Duplantis a harvester? I would say yes. That's just one name thrown out there. People like that. Getting people saved. That's kind of what the harvester is. The seed's been planted, it's been watered, and now, boom, harvest. They're ready to go in that sense. So I just thought that was an interesting thought that came into my head. I just started thinking about it last night. I'm like, I should do my freedom of thought. I should, because I want to try to do at least one show a week. And I thought maybe this week I could go in that direction. There's a blog that was written years ago now, 2015, but obviously stuff like this lasts forever. You could read this in 2315, So it says, I guess there's a video attached to it. It says unavailable, but that's fine. This was written on June 23rd, 2015, so literally about 9 years ago at the time that I'm recording this episode. Slightly less than 9 years ago, but 8 years and 50, I don't know how many, 50 weeks or whatever difference. So, so they say the main point of the message is simple. Sometimes God uses us to plant the seed of Christ's love in another's heart. Other times our job is to water and nurture a seed that that someone else has planted. See what I mean? That someone else has planted. Like Tim Burt might be watering it. That's maybe Joey planted, right? And it's planted and helping it grow in exciting ways. Still, other times our job is to harvest the seed, leading someone to accept Christ as our Savior. So, kind of an interesting, it's interesting. Like, what's your role? Like, I'm planting a seed right now, asking you, what's your role? What's your role? Do you consider yourself a seed planter like me? Do you consider yourself a waterer that can help people grow? Or do you consider yourself a harvester? Like, let's go. That type of thing. So, yeah, it's cool to learn your role and to know your role. And it's like, just because, like your mentality, just kind of the way it just seems the way things are drawn out. And then when you learn what your role is. And I still remember Tim Burt actually brought that up as he was preaching. He was saying, I'm a waterer. I still remember that. This must have been 10 years ago now. And I was thinking it over. I'm like, I'm a planter. And I never knew until that sermon. So obviously a huge credit to Tim Burt there. Obviously loved what he had to say. By chance in a million, if he's listening, that'd be really cool. So hello, Tim Burt. And some of you listening probably know who he is. Some of you listening possibly from Living Word may know who he is. Maybe you're not even from Living Word, but you know him maybe from the church he's at now as well. Or you've heard of him before, or whatever, that type of thing. I just thought that was a really cool idea to come into this show. Again, so it's kind of like, what's your role at the end of the day? So that's kind of the main theme at the end of the day. Obviously, in the political world, it's hard to say at this point. I guess, what is it? The sentencing is July 11th when it comes to Trump. So that's going to be very interesting to see how things go. I still believe that whole balls and strikes dream that Jeremiah Johnson had way back in 2020. I remember at the time, all of us thought that was all related to 2020. I'm still, especially when you see all this going on, I think all of that balls and strikes and then Donald Trump hitting the big home run against this tall, slender, demonic figure that was going to throw a fastball and strike Trump out. And then God slowed down the enemy's progress and Trump hit it out of the ballpark like Babe Ruth, or whoever in Yankee Stadium, but like dressed like Babe Ruth, that's basically what Trump was in the dream for Jeremiah Johnson. And I always thought that the reason that the one thing that may have been missed in that dream is the balls and strikes. Like people didn't really think about that, and also the fact that some of those balls and strikes hadn't happened yet. Kind of like I referred to several months ago now, a Matlock episode where the evidence to catch the real killer in this one case wasn't there yet, and then the man that was accused got convicted at the time, and then Matlock was able to reopen the case 7 years later. And all of a sudden, evidence was there that wasn't there before. So Matlock hadn't missed anything. It just wasn't there yet. Where the real killer, the evidence started pointing to him because he was literally stealing from the company that they were all working for. The deceased was the main owner of the company. And he killed two birds with one stone by knocking out the other owner of the company, sending him to prison, which is terrible. So he basically betrayed two of his best friends, who were all Vietnam veterans, just to become rich and steal the main owner's wife in the process as well. Be like, oh, I'm so sorry that he's dead. I'm here for you, and da-da-da. But it was all an evil plan. And then all of a sudden, all the money that was being stolen from that company was all happening right under everybody's nose. And then Matlock caught him in the end. So, caught the killer in the end. So, pretty crazy episode. It's called The Convict, season 1 of Matlock. And that's kind of how I'm seeing the Jeremiah Johnson dream. That's why I always come back to that the Jeremiah Johnson dream. That maybe those balls and strikes hadn't happened yet. And that's why, a lot of us were like, what's he even talking about? And da-da-da. Of course, another prophecy that didn't happen. Why the heck is Biden president? So, it's stuff like that. Very interesting episode on the Strang Report this past week where this guest he had was talking about how God led Biden in office because Trump was operating in fear by pushing this vaccine at the time during his last year of the presidency. That Trump was operating in fear and God didn't want Trump to be operating in fear as the president of the United States. So now Trump may have learned a lot since then, and that he will get another chance. So extremely interesting there when you think about that. The Strang Report, hope I can pick it up here. I thought I left it there as an episode, but it was a very recent load this past week. I hope I didn't delete it. Dang it. So I probably have to look it up to get the person's name. Mary Colbert. So definitely look that up. Awesome. June 12th, 2024. So, yes, that's a big one. June 12th, 2024. It was released on YouTube on June 6th, but came up on like Apple and other podcasts and all that. Like, came up as a podcast on June the 12th, which, interestingly, is the 30-year anniversary of the Ron Goldman and Nicole Simpson murders as well. Do check out the O.J. Simpson episode here on Freedom of Thought. I talked about, what was it, OJ, what really happened, ? Like, what really happened? What really happened with the whole OJ case? So definitely highly recommend you to check that out. Put a lot of work into that one and really enjoyed doing that episode. So I figured because we're coming up on the 30-year anniversary at the time I recorded it, and the fact that OJ had just very recently also passed away of cancer. So pretty crazy. A lot of us didn't even know he was really dying of cancer, and then he just died. Kind of like Bill Walton in the NBA, like former NBA player, of course, that also suddenly died of cancer on Memorial Day. Pretty crazy. So yeah, I know I'm kind of going down different weird, strange rabbit holes here, but I can only go on so much. I was kind of repeating myself a bit, but again, what's your role? Like learn your role, and optimize it. Optimize your role. Use it, and God will reward you. Could be awesome, I feel that's what freedom of thought is in a lot of ways. Freedom of thought. You're planting seeds. Isn't that cool? So it's like all these years have gone by in my life, and it's like freedom of thought, and I'm planting seeds, aren't I? Isn't that cool? So I think it's awesome. So I guess in a lot of ways that's kind of what role this podcast is. I mean, even that whole OJ case, that can be like planting a seed. It's it's not necessarily leading to God or anything, unfortunately, no, but it's still in a way planting a seed to the truth the truth. Like, what really happened? Are we all just going to write it off as OJ did it, and everything you hear on the news is 100% true, and just shut up and go away? No. So, I'm a seed planter in that way as well here on Freedom of Thought. But to use it for the work of God is even better, obviously, and that's pretty darn cool, to say the least. Gonna check on the social media. Apologize if you can hear the rain coming down. It's picking up, unfortunately. See if there's any actual responses, mostly just likes, which is fine. Oh, yes, and you heard about it on the last episode, the change of the logo. Again, I think it's a beautiful logo. I actually invested some money in it to create the logo. Had to actually do that. Had to get a premium account with PixArt in order to even be able to release the logo. So it is what it is. So, I mean, again, donations are encouraged, please. It would be nice to help pay for something like that. Obviously, pay for a new microphone. My microphone is damaged, so there is that. It works. It's just damaged. It's got visible damage on it. Obviously, eventually might need a new laptop. Probably not too far off from that. As good as the laptop is, they age quickly, and we all know that. So there is that situation as well. If and donations are 1,000% optional. If you want to, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. As low as 99 cents. So there's that, and greatly appreciated for those of you that have donated in the past. Nothing on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Freedom of Thought 1776. Nothing in terms of responses. But I did post a couple of things, like it's a person with a big giant tuba blowing in someone's face. That's the LGBTQAA++++ propaganda. And then it's like me just trying to live my life. They're just blasting it in your face. Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. A lot of people liked it, but nobody responded. But appreciate those of you that did like it. It's true, though. Also on June the 14th, there was Flag Day, and I hope you were able to raise your flag on that day. Living in an apartment, I can't really do that, unfortunately, but my parents were able to do it at their house. They're also in Golden Valley. Interestingly enough, two other things occurred on June the 14th. Donald Trump's birthday, so happy birthday, President Donald Trump. And also, happy birthday, United States Army. What do you think of that? 1775, United States Army. This will defend. June 14th, 1775, 1 year before the Revolution in the United States, and July the 4th and all that. So, pretty cool. The United States Army was born in 1775. Unfortunately, not very well funded at the time. And then eventually, when it was better funded, we were borrowing money from banks and blah, 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 blah. And we pretty much, for the most part, been in debt ever since, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about that. It's like the United States of debt. That's kind of, in a lot of ways, what we are. The U.S. of D, United States of debt, in so many ways. So hoping, again, a Trump presidency, was it not obvious to you how much better things were run? Was it not obvious to you, the economy? Obviously, the gas prices, fuel prices, oil prices, wasn't even close. Oh, because and then all the other side could do is say, oh, let's shut everything down. Oh, we're destroying the environment, when we're not destroying the environment. We're not. We're not destroying the environment. It's just a bunch of crap. And I don't know. Pull up all these trumped up bunco charges. You'll forgive the term trumped up bunco charges on Donald Trump. And then see what the heck the sentencing could be on June 11th coming up, or July 11th coming up here, not too far away, less than a month now. So, it's a bummer. The Instagram, the last episode was less than a week ago, so I'm not anticipating a whole lot. Haven't been all that active this week, of course, unfortunately, with overly busy schedule and such. It's freedom _of _thought 1776. Again, forgive the strangeness of how that was put together, but that's just kind of how it goes. Looks like mostly likes. Oh, yep, and there he is. Mark Carlson says salute, and then has the American flag. Mark Carlson, Strikeforce.92 out of Iowa, salute. Happy birthday, Army. United States Army, 1775. Yes, sir. Almost there. Almost 250 years already. So, 249 years. Happy birthday, United States Army. We're right on the cusp of that. So pretty awesome. And thank you, Mark Carlson, for the salute there. God bless you, and I salute you back. With that said, I think that's going to wrap things up for now. Another shorter episode, but I hope I planted some seeds today. I hope I did, and I hope I've been planting seeds on this show all the way back to episode 1. Hopefully I have been planting seeds. And, that it's things that, maybe it can help you kind of, open the door a bit to something. And then the next person can help you understand things better. And then at the end of the day, here we are, here we are in a good way. With that said, again, hope you like the logo. Say something out there. Haven't heard too much response. I know Jessica Eiler out of California likes the logo. I'm not sure if she actually listens to this show. She's never said that. But maybe she's an old friend. She goes back to when that episode 1 of Matlock was out, 1986. Yeah, we were first graders at Maranatha Christian Academy. That's how far back Jessica Eiler goes. So just in case she's listening, major shout out there. That's a long time ago. Very old friend from Maranatha Christian Academy, first grade, 1986. Yes, so you can age me right there. I'm 44, going on 45 on July 29th. So, yes, probably mentioned my age way too many times in the show. Unfortunately, I'm not one of the young guys anymore, but I'm not that old yet either. Doggone it. Just in my mid-40s, I guess, now. Yay. With that said, again, have yourself a wonderful month of June. Unfortunately, here in this neck of the woods, it looks like the weather's about to get, it's about to go from gorgeous for a couple of days to just, I don't know, it's going to rain all the time, and then the humidity's going to be on the moon, and the temperature's going to go way up tomorrow and all that. So there's your weather report, I guess. Maybe you didn't really need to hear about that, but we'll see what happens. Hope all of you have a wonderful month of June. Keep, do what you can to either ignore or battle against this propaganda that's being shoved down our throats on a daily basis. With that said, take care, and God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.